Right. What is the number one thing that is your challenge when it comes to sustaining yourself? What's the biggest challenge you have when it comes to sustaining yourself? That is our topic today for our live session. I want to make this interactive. I want to make this a discussion. This is always such a hot topic, and we all have different challenges. So what's yours? And if you're brave to share and courageous, then I give you such a high five right now, because you're a leader in vulnerability, and that counts for something. That's actually really, really huge. And so I ask this question, by the way, in 99% of my corporate talks. I do a lot of speaking with companies who want to learn how to get out of overwhelm and avoid burnout. And I want to just share that we all have something. We all have a hang up. I have a hang up. I'm sure the president of the United States has a hang up. I know, like, world leaders have hangups. And the reality is we're constantly bombarded with challenges that are in our face, literally, to have challenges that horrible well-being are. So if you're resonating with this, like say yes. And if you're watching the replay, by the way, great. I want to know you're watching the replay, even if you weren't able to make it live. I was a few minutes late today, but know that I am so excited to be here every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, 12 p.m. Pacific. Come on into the pause den and learn a couple things, because this is what it's about, I think, is going to the table, being at the table to talk real brass tacks about what's in our way as women to feel good, so that we can thrive, so that we can lead our families and our teams and our worlds, because we are so freaking needed. Yeah, like, who's picking up what I'm laying down? Oh, I know I'm really passionate about this. And I would say, if, you know, so some of the things that I've already heard that are the biggest things are not necessarily news flashes. One issue I have, or one theme that I hear is not enough time. There's just not enough time. Like, the challenge is not enough time. Like, who doesn't have that challenge? I mean, who isn't a busy high performer who does a lot of stuff right now in 2022? For Pete's sakes, we're now learning how to go back to work in the office and try to get by, or be at the water cooler again and be like, what is this? How does this happen? Like, what am I, who are you? Like, I remember your face, but I haven't seen you in person for 2 years, and so on and so forth, right? So it's challenging out there. So being in a shortage of time is like nothing, you know, like, we are all feeling that. And yeah, if you're here, just let me know, because I'd love to know who's watching me or what being here. This is a discussion. So type into the chat, you know, what's your biggest challenge when it comes to sustaining yourself? What's your biggest challenge when it comes to sustaining yourself? So time is a big one, and sustaining yourself. It's hard to talk and type at the same time when it comes to sustaining yourself. Yeah. And I hear as well, quality sleep, quality anything, quality time with my family, quality sleep, quality energy, quality, because we're not necessarily based on quality right now, right? So do you have that issue, right? Is that something that you struggle with? Sleep. Maybe that's a challenge, because when you're not rested, how is your nervous system going to adjust to all the stimuli in the day? I know the last 2 nights I've gotten 6 hours of sleep. Part of it was because I had to wake up butt early and get myself in a boat and row around. But that's enough. Like, I know now that I can take more time to sleep later. So what is it for you? I am so curious. And if you're interested to share, I would be so excited to learn. Because here's the thing, when we put out on the table, when we own what's in front of us, what's the challenge, we can change it. I almost said the F word, but we can freaking change it. And I'm fired up right now because we can. And I think we think that we have to settle. Yeah. Like, who just thinks I don't know how many moms are out here, but if you're a mom, just say mom in the chat. Just type in mom, or maybe you're the daughter, maybe you're the sister, maybe you're the the caretaker. I don't know, whatever that might be. My guess is there's a lot of demands on your plate, and you don't have to be a mom for demandings on your plate. But the thing is like, there are umpteen challenges probably each of us have. And so I'm curious, in this group, in our safe and sacred container of the Pause to Thrive sisterhood, what are the things on your heart that you wear and that you're dealing with as issues? And the key is to, again, be vulnerable. That's hard, right? Like saying, like, I don't trust my decisions. Like, that's a big, hefty challenge, right? If you don't trust your decisions, there's a lot probably going on in those complex layers that could be different, right? Like, where do you even start? Well, where you start is you name your challenge, right? Like, that's it. Yeah. Thanks, Rachel Coley. Nice to see you. Making more time for self-care. I love it. Big challenge. Like, who resonates with that? I mean, that one, I feel like 90% of us or more would be like, yeah, because here's the thing. We only have so much time in the day. And usually who do we put first in front of us, especially women? We put everybody first before us, right? Our sons, our daughters, our pets, our partners, our like things we got to do. Our to-do list goes in front of us. And I'm not saying that that's not a bad thing, but where do you fit in? And it shouldn't be that you're the last person on your list. And so self-care is so big. Thank you for naming that, Rachel C, because that's a big thing that we can discuss and have more topics on. So if you resonate with that, I train a lot in self-care because it is the go-to way to move through challenges and healing and pain and all those discomforts that we don't really feel so good in, right? Whether that's just an opportunity that feels like a challenge or a big change that's happened, like tons of stuff happen like that. So self-care is a big one. We've talked about sleep. We've talked about not enough time. I'm curious if energy resonates with anybody here, like not having the energy to do something. The one that I've been hearing a lot lately in a lot of my coaching calls with clients is motivated. I don't know why. It feels like everyone is demotivated these days. Who feels a little demotivated sometimes? I know I can. And it's when we're not, like, my sense is that's a challenge we can either go through or have it eventually, but maybe we're not always in that. But when we feel like we are low on energy, then I don't think we feel very motivated. It kind of ties together. Would you agree? Like, when we have a lot of energy, there's energy there to do stuff, right? You feel like you want to engage, your aliveness kicks in, there's that vitality stream that you can harness, and then you start doing stuff. But if we're depleted and we're just moping around, or we don't feel like we're in a place that feels very resourced, then we feel demotivated. And stress can add to that too, right? So I'm curious, like, who feels demotivated right now? If you're watching this, maybe replay or now, I think, just being very frank, that's a real challenge. And I feel it myself. I do. And it's when it gets hard, like when things get hard is when I don't feel motivated, right? Like, who can kind of relate to that? Me, I know I can. Yeah, because when things get hard, we kind of want to coast. At least I know I do, right? And this is historically speaking, but it happens sometimes. The example I'm thinking of right now, let me know if you relate, is, as you may know, I had this big masterclass on Wednesday here, and it was great. We did it on Zoom. I had, there was probably 30 people on there. We had great discussions and interactions. And I had to make sure I was just really going with making sure I've done everything to get it, out there in the world so people knew about it and they could attend, right? It's a free training. And I found myself dragging my feet like a couple of days before then. And I just kind of wanted to throw in the towel and be like, oh, I told enough people, like, I did enough stuff. The reality is I wasn't really motivated, and I've had lost touch with why it matters to me. And so it's really important to remind yourself, like, why does it matter to you to eat healthy, or to notice how you're doing, or why, or to have more self-care, or to get better sleep, like all these challenges, like, why are they important to you? Because when we are associating that with our rationale, then we kind of get re-sparked again, right? And you're like, oh yeah, like, that's why it matters. And then you can engage. And when we engage, our motivation accelerates. We feel more inspired because we're actively doing something. Yeah, are you picking up what I'm laying down? So there's so many cool solutions out there. Our challenges are in the way. It doesn't mean they're blocks forever. It doesn't mean they're going to stay static like that. It's about how do I move through this challenge in a way that serves me? And I pose that question for all of you. So what is that biggest challenge for you? And I know we've covered a few. Go ahead and type it into the chat there. Hi, Angela. Remembering my why is huge. Yes. Thank you. Exactly. And if we know what our why is, then it just feels more, we feel more inspired and we get unstuck. Our challenges don't become so challenging anymore. Right. And so what I would like to be doing in this forum, Fridays, pause Fridays, live, is like make this more interactive with like have this be more interactive with a discussion around some of these big deal challenges that we all face. Because if, you know, whether you're typing into the chat or sharing, my vision is that you get support and get value from what is shared, right? And I'll share something from the self-care mode since that was brought up, and it's such a powerful tool. And like I said, you have, like, if you, the more risks you take, the more self-care you need, and the more different things feel, the more self-care you need. And so, you know, if that resonates with you, just type in self-care. I think that that's a big one. But one of the ways that I like to really talk about this is that each of us is 100% responsible for our own happiness. Would you agree? And this is from my coach, Bob Wright. 100% responsible, up to 50% of the blame. You might be asking, like, well, what does this have to do with self-care? Well, guess who's responsible for your self-care? That's right. You are. I am. It's no one else's job. So if you were to think about it like that, does that change anything for you? Knowing, oh my goodness, like if I don't do this, then I'm not going to feel resourced. I'm going to feel challenged. I'm not going to go through my day in a great way that feels great. So the key becomes, what can you do to feel nourished and stay sustained? And I have news for you. Most of us think, well, let me ask you, what does that mean? When you think of self-care, I'm curious, what is it for you? Like, what is your go-to self-care? And type it into the chat. And that could be anything, right? But I'm curious, like, what does this group like to do for self-care? For me, I love being outside. Walks on the beach in Siesta Key are amazing. I'm going later tonight with a friend of mine, Jessica, and I'm looking forward to it. Like all day, I'm like, I'm gonna go walk on the beach. I'm gonna go walk on the beach, and that is being out in nature, and it's in the here and now. Like I'm present for it, and I'm also learning because I'm there in the moment, and I'm with a friend who I'm gonna be catching up with, and my intention is to learn about her and grow from that. And what I just defined, by the way, is what nourishment is. Okay, so self-care just to get pampered isn't enough. I'm telling you right now, it is not enough. It is not going to cut it unless you're present for it in the moment, in the here and now, like being like, wow, I love this pedicure. I feel like my toes are tingling and this color is beautiful. And then I would say, how am I learning and growing? Because that's the other requirement for getting nourished. So how, like, are you learning and growing? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you're asking your, what are they called? They're like, I don't know what the name is for the manicurist, but asking them, what is it that, you know, how did you learn this? And, you know, you could be learning, I suppose. But my guess is it probably is falling flat unless you're reading a book at the time, which really isn't present for the nails anyway. So I wouldn't call it that. It is good, Angela, right? And so we go out there in the world thinking, oh, I got to go get my nails done, or whatever it is your go-to self-care is. Maybe it's a walk on the beach like me. But the reality is it needs to be way bigger to get nourished, and it needs to have those two requirements. And this is a definition from Judith Wright. It's needing to be present in the here and now. And it's anything that helps you grow. And I talk about this all the time in my talks, and I want to bring it in here because I haven't said it in a while. And it changes the game if you're nourished. So again, when you think about what is it that is your biggest challenge when it comes to sustaining yourself, I invite you to be curious about it and say, well, what could I do to get nourished right now in the moment for this particular challenge? maybe it's just naming it and being like, wow, it's so good to say that out loud. I've been carrying this around with me all week and I didn't want to say this anymore, but it really feels good to release it. Right. And so that's a powerful way to just claim it. And that's self-care, by the way. Self-care is you creating that safe and secure attachment for yourself. And that's what it's all about, ladies. So I'm going to close up here, but what are your takeaways? Just type it into the chat. What are the takeaways? Do you like this format of a discussion? And thank you for being here, by the way, Rachel and Angela. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you so much. Prayer, peace, whatever works for you. I don't know why I said peace, but peace out. Yeah. And I would like to know what other topics are resonating with you, because I want to make these as valuable as possible. And I really am excited to engage in this way. I think it's so fun to go live and have a weekly cadence and just be back in touch with everybody. So if you watch this on the replay, let me know. Like, I want to know you're watching this, and I so value your feedback. So thank you in advance for anything you want to share, but tell me what your takeaway is too, because we're integrating our learning as you engage. If you were just sitting there watching this, you're probably getting like 30% to 50% of what you could get. And that's for anything. It's not just when I'm blabbing my mouth off. It could be for anything, right? Way to go, Angela. Yeah. Nourishment and self-care by being in the moment and how I am learning and growing. That's right. And you can now share that wisdom. And the source is Judith Wright from the Wright Graduate University. And I'm excited that you know that now. So thank you for sharing. And I hope everyone here has a beautiful weekend. Go ahead and get nourished and practice self-care and be curious, because if we're not in our growth mindset, then we're not going to grow. And actually, the quote that comes to mind right now is from Abraham Maslow. And Abraham Maslow said, if you don't do 12 things a day that scare you, then you're not growing. 12 things, guys. 12, not like one. 12 new things, 12 things that scare you. So that's the invitation. Go out and do 12 things today too. And then you'll be meeting Abraham Maslow's standards for growth. All right, everyone. Love you. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for being here and watching. Bye-bye. See you next time.